Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby. With me is Wyatt Russell, who plays John Walker on the hit Marvel and Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Wyatt, I have heard you were not necessarily the biggest comic book buff before taking on this role. I'm wondering if it wasn't the comic book side of things, what was it that really most spoke to you and connected with you about this character?
It was hard because they don't tell you anything. They don't tell you who you're playing until you have a meeting with them and say kind of, oh, here you go. So I had no idea what to think, and I kind of kept it that way. Had no expectation. Didn't know if it was something I'd want to do even after you read the part and they say we want you to do it, just because you just don't know. So once I found out who it was, the first phone call I made was to someone I knew the world. So I called James Gunn, who I'd become friendly with. My wife had worked with him on a movie, and I trust his opinion, and I trust obviously he's a great filmmaker and he's in that world. And he said, if it's the character that I'm thinking of, it's a really interesting, inherently interesting character because he has a lot of issues that you have to work through. So he knew a little bit about the character, which was more than my nothing. And when I had my meeting with Zoe and Kari, Chloe is the mashup of Zoe Nagelhout and Kari Skoglund, the director. My fears were, you're gonna want me to be Captain America and do the thing, and like it wasn't a good idea to anybody, obviously, but to me, that was what I was nervous about. And they said, no, it's this character. He has this is sort of his arc. They didn't know exactly how they wanted to handle the tone of him yet, which I actually took as something that was a good challenge, because I wasn't stepping into some sort of preordained version of somebody or preconceived version of somebody. So I felt like, okay, well, they want me to play around. They got the right guy, because I like giving a lot of different versions and finding humor and finding drama if there is any. And so that sort of creative leeway that I got was a lot longer leash than I thought there was going to be. That's what led me to really going, okay, I think this will be fun.
Yeah, he's a really fascinating character. I appreciate how complex he is, because he ends up going down a very dark path, but it feels like if it were only for one or two different things that happened in another way, he could have really been the hero he wants to be. Do you think there is a path for him as a real hero?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that one of the things I love about what I have now come to understand about Marvel, or really any superhero movie, is that there's always room for redemption in anybody's storyline, or there's always at least room for explanation of why they are the way they are, an understanding of why they are the way they are. With John, for me at least, I was hoping that you get to a point, or will get to a point, where he's okay with who he is, because you can't go back and erase your past, which a lot of people spend time doing, but you can become okay with the person that you are and make good decisions from there, or make the right decisions from there, or sometimes not, and have the means to an end is maybe more important in his mind than the actual act of what you're doing. So that's what I like about John, is that he continues to kind of be complex and difficult to pin down, and that's where he is now. Hopefully it kind of stays that way.
Well, I think one of the most talked about moments of your character and for the whole series was when John ends up murdering one of the flag smashers with the Captain America shield, which was just horrifying. And I'm watching it and I go, I can't believe they actually went there. What was it like filming that sequence, and did you expect it to get the huge reaction that it got?
I didn't expect to get the huge reaction it got, because I didn't understand the magnanimous nature of Marvel universe. Like, it's just not, I think there's a lot of online stuff, which I'm not a massive part of. And I know it goes on, but I just don't like spend a lot of time in there. So I don't feel it as much as maybe most people do. So I didn't really, I was like, oh my God, people really like reacted strongly. But filming it, we were in Prague in this like town square. And the first thing I was like, they can't cover up the set, you know, so there's just hundreds of people through buildings watching Captain America. They don't know what the hell's going on. They just know that the Captain America shield's coming down like this for the next 4.5 hours on some dude's head. And so I was like, well, it's going to get leaked online and everyone's going to know. Of course it did, but it didn't matter. Who cares? And, but it was, you know, what was really interesting about that scene actually, was how the way we were going to shoot it, because it was a real kind of question of whether or not it was going to be this sort of quick, vicious, and that was it, or if it was more of like what Kari called a ballet, like a dance, which it sort of became more of that, where you really see it in John's face, him starting to, you know, go over the top and that serum running through his bloodstream. You can really feel it and see it. So I think we ended up on the right thing, but yeah, it was interesting because there was different versions of it that we shot.
Yeah. Speaking of that shield, I was wondering what the process was like of learning how to do the fight sequences with it, because it seems like it could be just very unwieldy.
Yeah, there's a lot of different shields they have. There's like a stunt shield. There's a, you know, picture shield. There's a shield that goes on your back. There's a shield that, you know, like, there's a shield for everything. There's a shield you shave with. There's a shield, like just literally every aspect of the day has a shield, a special shield. And they're very, you know, they want to take care of it because they only have so many of the really good ones. Justin Eaton, my stunt double, and the guy is unbelievable. He's incredible at what he does. It's shocking how good he is. So I let him just teach me how to do it as best as I could, which is nowhere near, you know, it's 1/1000th of what he can do. So I kind of talked about it with him a lot in terms of how we were going to use the shield as almost more of a weapon, and sort of everything was moving forward a little bit more and a lot more aggressive than just a thing to defend or throw around. Sometimes it was like when you see some of the way he uses it, it's just a little more aggressive, because eventually he's going to end up cutting somebody's head off with it. So we spent a lot of time on figuring out what our body language was, and then I would honestly just try and mirror him, because he was so much better at it than I am. He's naturally, you know, he's unbelievable what this guy can do. It's crazy. So every time I'm not the actor who's like I want to do my own stunts. It was like, if fucking Justin can get in there, get Justin in there, because he does it better than me. He'll make me look good. So it was a real team effort on how to wield the shield.
Yeah. And the fight scenes in this are really well choreographed because it's not just, you know, mindless action. There is real storytelling going on, even when they're brawling, like especially in the big smackdown you have with Bucky and Sam. So how, as an actor, what is your process of like keeping yourself centered in the emotion of the scene and the character while there's all these obvious technical elements surrounding you?
You just gotta kind of forget you're like wearing a suit, you know. It's like, don't look yourself in the mirror for too long, because the illusion of the reality hits you real quick about this is a plastic suit and these are plastic things, like this sucks. But so you kind of put that out of your head and just go, well, what's this? You know, Kari's really good at telling story through the fight. Marvel's always good at that. So you're not just fighting, you're kind of having to tell a story. So you're still focused on trying to be the character in some ways. And they allow for that. It's also pretty hard sometimes. You're like, I gotta talk through this whole fight. Oh my God, this is like gonna look horrible. But they end up making it look cool, you know, in that one fight. It's really a great fight sequence. And again, the stunt performers, they do most of it. And they do most of, I mean, all the stuff that like flying and the moving around. You let that happen, and then you come in afterwards and fill in the acting spots. And so it's a massive team effort that you kind of got to relinquish yourself to.
Yeah. Is there any feeling of like a great, feeling that comes over you when you first put on the suit, or is it just very restricting?
It's the opposite of great for me. It's its own challenge, because you see many different types of superhero things, and sometimes you look at superheroes and you're like, that guy's outfit looks stupid. At least to me, sometimes it looks dumb, and you don't have a dumb suit. So I didn't, when I got mine, I was like, okay, it's cool. It looks cool enough, I think, but I just relied on other people who probably lived in the world a little bit more to tell me the truth. Does it look stupid, or can we change something to make it look better? I'll just rely on you, because I kind of think the whole thing is a little ridiculous. Like, it is. But then you don't see in your head what they're looking at on the monitor, even what they're looking at as they're piecing it together. So it's really important in these types of things that you let go of some of that ego that you might have had from some other movies that require what I thought was like acting. And then you get on set and you're going like, wow, God, this is its own crazy hard thing to be real and feel real. And what this suit, when you put it on in your trailer, it's just about the last thing you feel is real, is authentic. And able to use some of that for the character that I played. I was able to use some of, like, I feel inauthentic. I feel there's an inauthenticity to this. And you're like, okay, well, I'll just play that. So that was, using some of the challenges that were faced to me, I was able to use them.
Well, in that vein, you said you weren't really connected to the online aspects, but I hope you're aware that there were an impossible amount of memes that came out about your character.
Oh my God.
With Marie Kondo, with the old man from Up.
I didn't see a Marie Kondo one.
Oh, there's a great Marie Kondo one about Sparkling Joy. You should look up. But did anyone share those with you? They really, there's a period where it was taking over the internet.
The reason I knew that was because I don't use social media. I don't have social media. A reason I knew that was because when things trickle down to me, then I know that that something about it's popular, and so I had been sent or seen, I don't know, maybe I just saw it, like an article or something, was there's a picture of me and Carl from Up, which is just about the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I showed it to my wife, and we both started cracking up because it's too perfect. I was like, whoever drew that or made that is a genius, and they should be given the highest position in the government right now. I'd vote for him for president. It's so funny. I mean, that one got to me, and that one I thought was like, it's perfect. I don't know. There's something about it that it encompassed everything about what was going on and the insanity of the whole thing, ridiculousness of it. That one I saw. The others, I don't think I saw many other ones.
There's some, if you ever get bored, there's some good ones out there.
Okay.
But I should also mention you were in another project this year, Good Lord Byrd, which I would love you just to talk about. What is it like working alongside, Ethan Hawke, who is the creator, writer, star? What is it like working with someone who is so completely entrenched in the story that way?
It was when Ethan calls me, and I've done a couple things. I was in Blaze, and movie he directed Blaze, and had a great time shooting that. It was a small part in a little, but it's every part is consequential in his writing. It's what good writing is. There's an inconsequential character in it. And when I found out who I was playing and what I was doing, there's a real there. It was the first time in my career where there was some responsibility to the story and to the person, even though he was, he was a Confederate soldier, to the person for the story, that you get it right. You get the person right. And what Ethan wanted to do is, even though he was wearing a union uniform at the time, he wanted someone who was not going to play the devil horn aspect of, what the existential aspect of these people were, but at the same time, the outward surface presentational element of someone at that time might have been very nice, as a human being. So there's a reality to the fact that he might have been a nice guy to people when he met them. Just had very backwards ideology in terms of what he ended up fighting for. And Jeb Stewart actually was a person who, he was one of those people who thought, like, this is the letter of the law. And even though I don't agree with it morally, it's the letter of the law and I'm going to execute the letter of the law. So to play that character, you have to play it like that. And he needed and wanted somebody who was going to be able to just do that. And so I think we had so much fun doing it. I only shot for, not very long, but I'd come in different episodes and I'd come in from whatever I was doing, and you could feel the shifting of the production as it was getting towards the end. And it was amazing to watch Ethan, who had done everything, right? I mean, he had a lot of help. James McBride, I met on one of the first days. He was very instrumental, obviously, in the writing. He wrote the book. And every director I know that had come in, obviously, he had to work with all of these different elements of different personalities. But Ethan is the through line. And Ethan as a person is such a wonderful human being, on top of being a wonderful actor. He allows everybody the opportunity to be creative or bring their own creativity to the process, which is what makes his things interesting and good. But that's a very tasking thing too, because you're managing lots of different people's feelings and egos and ideas and all these things. So it was pretty impressive to watch him manage his own, I think, emotions while that was going on, and I got to see that through the process. He's a very impressive person.
Yeah. I also wanted to just ask before I let you go, you have a long background in film work, and these two projects are diving into TV. I think long form storytelling with limited series like this, is having a really big renaissance right now. How does it compare to you to work on something long form? Do you enjoy being able to explore a character over time like that?
I do. I love being able to really flesh somebody, or have the time to flesh somebody out. You have the extra few scenes, the extra minutes to the extra hours to bring a story around. The interesting thing is I don't think that the compressed time of a film is necessarily, you're telling less story, at least in my point of view. Now, having done it, you're always going to run it. It's like you set your own time clock. You can make a 7-season show and still feel like it rushed the end, or still feel like a character didn't get an arc, or so it's, I don't think that there's ever really, it's fun to be able to play the character a lot, but sometimes it's too much of a good thing. Whereas a movie, I said this the other day to somebody I was talking to. I don't know, maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm cold, but I don't know if I've ever cried in a long form series. I'm not sure. I can't think of a time when it made me cry, right? Maybe laugh, made me feel an emotion, but I don't know if I've broke down into tears, because of the experience of week to week. Gotta wait. You're spreading out the emotional experience over a long period of time. Whereas a movie, there's something so special about it to me, where it captures your attention for 2 hours or however long, and it commands your undivided attention to be a part of that process. And I've cried at lots of movies, it's made me feel a lot. And so that, I still don't think that for my money, that long form necessarily does anything that's better than movies, or, it can maybe tell more story, but I don't know if, for the visceral experience, movies are still kind of my favorite.
Well, we can't wait to see which stories you take on next. It's a fabulous job on these two projects.
Thank you so much.
So everyone who's out there watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby and keep up to date with us throughout the season. And Wyatt, thank you so much for being here.